It was the kind of night that made you want to lock your doors and never open them again. Heavy rain. No signal. And somewhere inside Blackwood Manor, someone had just committed the perfect murder. My name is Detective Cole. And this is the case that still keeps me awake at night. It started with a dinner party. 6 people. Old money. Old grudges. And one of them wouldn't make it to dessert. The victim, Thomas Blackwood. 58 years old. Self-made billionaire. Owner of Blackwood Manor. Found dead at the dinner table at exactly 10:47 p.m. No signs of forced entry. No weapon found. The front door locked from the inside. The guests had no way out. Which meant the killer was still in the room. Let me introduce you to our 5 suspects. First, Eleanor Blackwood. Thomas's wife. 43. Former model. Married Thomas for money, everyone knew it. She stood to inherit everything. That night, she was the last one to refill Thomas's wine glass. Second, Victor Crane. Thomas's business partner. They had built an empire together. But 3 weeks before the dinner, Thomas had secretly filed papers to remove Victor from the company entirely. Victor found out that morning. Third, Dr. Sophia Reed. The family physician. She had access to Thomas's medical records. And more importantly, access to his medications. Something was off about the way she kept checking her watch all evening. Fourth, James Harlow. Thomas's nephew. 26. Gambling debts. No job. No future. Thomas had promised to pay off his debts. Then changed his mind the day before the dinner. And fifth, Clara Webb. The housekeeper. 30 years of service. Loyal as a shadow. But Thomas had recently discovered that Clara had been stealing from the household accounts. For years. Now, here is what we know. Thomas Blackwood showed no signs of physical trauma. No bruising. No wounds. No struggle. The coroner's initial report suggested poisoning. Fast-acting. Tasteless. Odorless. The wine glasses had been cleared before anyone called the police. Convenient. The kitchen staff confirmed that all food was prepared normally. But there was one thing they couldn't explain. Thomas's private whiskey decanter, the one only he ever drank from, was empty. Completely dry. And it had been half full just 2 hours earlier. I spent the next 3 hours interviewing each suspect separately. Eleanor told me she and Thomas had argued that afternoon. About money. As usual. But she swore she still loved him. Her eyes were dry when she said it. Victor claimed he didn't know about the company papers. But his hands wouldn't stop shaking. And I noticed something, a small burn mark on his right sleeve. Fresh. Chemical. Dr. Reed said she had given Thomas a routine checkup that morning. His heart was fine. His blood pressure was normal. She seemed almost too calm. Like someone who already knew the ending. James broke down crying immediately. Begged me to believe him. Said he had nothing to do with it. But he couldn't explain why his fingerprints were on the whiskey decanter. Clara said nothing. Just stared at the floor. And quietly asked if she needed a lawyer. Now, I am going to stop here. Because I want you to think. You have 5 suspects. You have 1 victim. You have a locked room, a missing weapon, and a poisoned whiskey decanter. The clues are all there. I have given them to you. Who do you think did it? Pause the video. Think it through. Because the answer might surprise you. Ready? Here is what I found. The burn mark on Victor's sleeve, it was from a chemical compound. Specifically, a compound used to dissolve organic residue. The same compound found in trace amounts on the inside of the whiskey decanter. Victor Crane had poisoned the whiskey. Not at the dinner table, but earlier that afternoon, while Thomas was still in his study. He had used a fast-acting compound obtained through a black market pharmaceutical contact. A contact we later traced through his phone records. Victor knew Thomas always finished his evening whiskey alone, after dinner. He never touched it at the table. He savored it in private. Victor had counted on that. But here is the twist. Victor did not act alone. Dr. Reed had supplied the compound. In exchange for a share of the company after Thomas was gone. She had diagnosed Thomas months earlier with a rare heart condition. One she had deliberately kept off the official records. The poison was designed specifically to mimic a cardiac event. No marks. No weapon. A perfect crime. Almost. Victor Crane and Dr. Sophia Reed were arrested at 2:15 a.m. Victor confessed within the hour. Reed stayed silent all the way to the courtroom. Eleanor inherited the estate. James paid off his debts with a settlement he filed against the company. And Clara? Clara finally retired. Quietly. With a full pension. Thomas Blackwood had one final wish in his will. That Blackwood Manor be turned into a public library. It was. Some cases stay with you longer than others. This one, not because it was the most brutal, but because it reminded me of something I already knew. The most dangerous people in any room are the ones who look the most calm. I am Detective Cole. And this has been Murder in the Dark. If you guessed Victor and the Doctor, you are sharper than most. Like and subscribe for episode 2. Next week, a locked hotel room, a missing body, and a key that belongs to no one.